What's up, YouTube? So I'm out here on Pacific Coast Highway again, and I'm going to be driving through Sunset, the main street, going through Pacific Palisades. You know, today I wanted to really talk about some of my thoughts and opinions regarding insurance. You know, from what I hear, the other day, State Farm has basically approached the commissioner, the insurance commissioner in California, Ricardo Laura. And State Farm is requesting an insurance policy rate increase of 22%. Now, I'm not sure whether or not this is going to happen. I guess Ricardo Laura is going to be, making his decision coming up soon. But if I had to guess, based on the verbiage and the words that he's selectively using, like the word temporary, I'm going to go ahead and assume that these quote-unquote temporary rate hikes are going to get approved. Why would you use the word temporary? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Temporary insurance rate hikes? Come on. Temporary? There's no temporary. Once the price goes up, it goes up. It only goes up further. It never goes down. Prices on insurance don't go down. They only go up. When have you ever looked at your policy and noticed that the premium went down? It doesn't go down, it just goes up. It's ridiculous. And they're definitely not going down in California, I'll tell you that much, especially after this. You know, they're talking about increasing rates by 22% on over 1 million policyholders, right? Over 1 million policyholders. It's going to get approved. If I had $1 million to gamble, I'd bet that it gets approved. And I bet you anything that it's not going to be temporary. And what does that word temporary even mean? How long is temporary? A day? Like 2 days? A year? 5 years? 6 years? Come on, bro. What are you doing, dude? No shot it's going to be temporary. No shot. And what does that really mean when you think about it? If it was hard enough to buy a home in California, it's going to be that much harder. Thinking about buying a home in California now with interest rates anywhere between 6.5% to 7.5%, or mortgage rates, whatever you want to say, and now you have to provide proof of insurance to the bank, and that insurance premium's going up by 22%. You just made it that much more difficult. And this is what Ricardo Laura is trying to prevent from happening, because it's really one more force pushing people out of the state. It's one more reason to leave. So if you thought buying a house was hard now in California, just wait until you get this quote-unquote temporary rate hike of 22%. Temporary. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Temporary. You know, and when it does get approved, what do you think all of the other insurance companies are going to do? Do you think they're just going to sit down at the table and say, oh, no, it's cool. State Farm gets a 22% rate increase on all of their, policy holders, but we're good. We don't need a 22% rate increase. We don't want that. It's going to be Chubb. It's going to be Mercury. It's going to be Allstate. It's going to be State Farm. It's going to be Farmers. All of them. All of them. You'd be a fool not to. So, if people think that only 1 million policies in California are going up by 22%, you're out of your mind. In the short term, it might only be State Farm. But in the long run, come on, bro, what are you doing, man? This guy's driving 10 miles an hour, dude. Go, brother. Pull over. This guy's literally doing 10 miles an hour into 25. So anyways, you better believe insurance premiums in California, not just from State Farm, but from every insurance premium, every company, they're going up. They're going up. Better believe it. Something's going on up here. There's another sign up here that says, do not drink the running water, or don't drink the tap water. So that's not good. That sign's been posted all around the Palisades for over a month now. Do not drink tap water. It's pretty bad. crazy. You get, for whatever reason, you get anxiety whenever you go through these military little checkpoints, and well, I do anyways. Even if you're not doing anything wrong, you just know that there's a potential for something bad to happen. So anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and give some of my thoughts and opinions, really. You know, what do you guys think? Do you think that insurance premiums are going to only go up by 22%? Do you think that Ricardo Laura, the insurance commissioner of California, is going to allow a 22% rate increase by State Farm? And if he does, do you think that State Farm's going to be the only company in the future going forward that's going to get a 22? They're going to be the only company allowed to increase their premiums by 22%. And do you think that they're just going to be quote unquote temporary? This is the verbiage and the words that are being used. That's so stupid. It's total manipulation. And I'm not disputing whether or not State Farm and insurance companies, should be allowed to raise their premiums by 22%. They should be allowed to do kind of whatever they want. They're a business too. If I start my own business selling t-shirts and I want to sell a shirt for $500, who is Ricardo Laura to tell me that I can't do that? So, and if they're overpricing and price gouging, well, then that gives the opportunity for another insurance company or another t-shirt company to come in there and start selling shirts for $20 instead of $500, right? If they want to price gouge and do this, that's really an opportunity for another insurance company to sell the same insurance at a lower premium or lower cost. So I think that 22% rate increase, it's going to happen. As much as Ricardo Laura and the politicians in California don't want it to happen, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And when you think about it, they don't want it to happen because they know that it's a driver, it's another force pushing people out of California. It's one more obstacle for the potential home buyer in California. A 22% insurance premium increase. You might get rejected, right? The bank might say, well, because the premium's now 22% higher, you now no longer can afford to buy this $1 million house. You can only afford to buy a $700,000 house, based on your income. And when you think about insurance premiums going up by 22%, what does that mean for the inflation rate? Insurance premiums are included in the CPI. And people they can argue how only 1 million policies in California going up by 22% isn't going to impact the insurance premiums on a national basis, and it's not going to have an impact on the inflation rate and the consumer price index. I guess you have that argument. And maybe they're right. Maybe raising insurance premiums by 22%, only 1 million, apparently. They say it's only 1 million. 1 million insurance policies are going to go up by 22%. That's what they say. I'm not sure I believe that. Maybe it won't have an impact on the inflation rate. I don't think that's true. I think you'll see it once those 22% rate increases go into effect. I think that it'll show up in the consumer price index in the next 6 months. So, in other words, if Ricardo Laura approves it, it's going to go into effect in May. So 6 months from May, I think you will see an increase in insurance premiums reflected in the consumer price index. That's what I believe. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But you know what? I don't really care. And then what that really means is if the inflation rate, which is already trending upward again, continues to stay above 2%. I mean, we've been above 2% inflation for the past 5 years now. Okay, it's like, when are you going to get inflation down to 2%, bro? When is it going to happen? We've been over 2% for 5 years, okay? Since 2020. Like, when are you going to do your job? And in reality, it's like, all Jerome Powell has to do is raise interest rates to 20%. And but he knows that it would crush the economy. He knows that. He knows that. He knows that the unemployment rate would go through the roof. Housing market would go in the gutter, which it already kind of is. There's not very many people buying homes right now. And the unemployment rate would more than likely go through the roof. So they don't do that. But, you know, now it's insurance premiums are going up. And it'll be reflected in the CPI over the next 6 months. That really means higher interest rates for longer. More downward pressure on an already slowing down economy. You know, in my opinion, there are already certain sectors of the economy that are in recession. If you're a car salesman in California and your income depends on, you know,